Part 46. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 451. The eyes that Li Beiyu saw were naturally those of number 7. After all, number 7 was a 5th-level creature. How could he, a 3rd-level evolver, want to commit suicide in front of number 7? What a joke. Now Li Beiyu's palm did not fall on his Tianling cap, but was held gently by number 7. After number 7 grabbed Li Beiyu's hand, he looked at Wang Feng. He wanted to confirm again. Wang Feng nodded to him, with a cruel smile on his lips, and whispered, "Eat slowly. Let him enjoy it. In addition, if you can, it's best to leave some left over, don't eat it all, and give him half a month of life so that he can enjoy life again." Seeing the smile on Wang Feng's face that seemed to come from hell, all the survivors, even the girl, couldn't help but shudder. At this moment, they had positioned Wang Feng as a person who must not be provoked. Even number 7 felt a little creepy when he saw Wang Feng's smile. He immediately shifted his gaze and looked at his food, and then activated his devouring skill. Ah! A shrill scream suddenly sounded from Li Beiyu's mouth. His whole body twitched and his face was distorted. He had seen this kind of scene more than once and knew that this was definitely a very painful journey. However, when this moment came to him, he realized that he still underestimated this pain. A kind of pain that cannot be described in words came from every nerve and every cell in his body, as if the bone marrow in his whole body was pouring out. A normal person would not be able to bear this kind of pain even if he felt it. 1/10 of the intensity will immediately activate one's own protective mechanism, causing the person to fall into coma. However, the devourer's devouring will make the person infinitely awake to experience the severe pain coming from deep within the body. Li Beiyu couldn't even say a complete sentence now, and he couldn't even ask for mercy. He could only let out screams that seemed to come from hell to prove the pain he was experiencing at this time. The survivors all stared blankly. They were originally full of resentment towards this Li Beiyu, but now, seeing his miserable condition, they all couldn't help but show expressions of intolerance. Only the girl looked at it with a happy face. Looking at Li Beiyu, there is a crazy look in his eyes. Because of Wang Feng's special care, number 7 slowed down his devouring speed, causing Li Beiyu to age very slowly. Seeing his face gradually getting older, others seemed to be watching Li Beiyu slowly spend his time. Life, heading towards death. After more than 10 minutes, No 7's devouring came to an end, and Li Beiyu's face had become extremely old, with countless wrinkles appearing on his face. If he were placed in the end of the world, he would definitely look like this. He would be envied by others because it was a symbol of longevity, but now, looking at his old face, everyone only had fear in their hearts. Because Wang Feng said that number 7 should leave some vitality for Li Beiyu, so when number 7 let go of Li Beiyu's palm, Li Beiyu did not die. He fell to the ground weakly, his chest heaving slightly, and his eyes were dull. Heavy breathing came from his mouth from time to time, his throat was already hoarse from screaming, and he could hardly make any sound. Seeing the end of work on the 7th, the girl walked up to Li Beiyu, lowered her head and looked down at him for a while, then suddenly rushed to Wang Feng, knelt down on her knees with a thud, looked up at Wang Feng with her pretty face and said, "Thank you. Help me fulfill my wish. From now on, I am yours, and I can do whatever you want me to do." Looking at the pretty little face of this girl, Wang Feng felt calm, because he knew that if he accepted this girl, I am afraid that the next time Lu Wanting appeared in front of him, she would transform into a female Tyrannosaurus and let him. Life is worse than death. You don't have to thank me so much. Wang Feng shook his head and said, this guy's ending was just what he asked for. I don't specifically want to fulfill your wish, but if you are willing, you can join my base. Wang Feng turned to look at the other survivors, pointed at number 7 and said, the same goes for you. What I just said is true. Devourers like him, the cannibals in your mouth, come now. There are more than 40,000 people who have come to our planet, distributed all over the world. If they fall into their hands, the scene you just saw will happen to you. I am the leader of the Hope Base. Our base has a population of millions and is capable of resisting the Devourer. If you want to survive and avoid being captured by the Devourer, you can go to my base. My base is in the Black Dragon. You can reach the city by walking along this road and heading south on Route 12. After Wang Feng pointed them in the direction of the Hope Base, he continued, of course, it is up to you to decide whether to go or not. We hope the base will not force anyone. After finishing speaking, Wang Feng looked at the girl who was still kneeling in front of him and said softly, "Get up. Can you find my base?" The girl stood up, looked at Wang Feng and nodded, "Yes. I have been to Black Dragon City before and I know where it is." "That's good," Wang Feng nodded, then looked at the survivors and asked, "There is no one like this guy among them, right?" "No more," the girl shook her head and said, "with a dog like him, one cannibal is enough." "Okay," Wang Feng reached out and patted the girl's shoulder, quietly took a drop of her blood, and then said, "Go and ask them, count the people who are willing to go to the Hope Base with you, and then take them. In the past, I had other things to do and couldn't send you back." The girl nodded, said nothing more, turned around and walked towards the survivors. Before she could speak, those people expressed their intention to follow her to the Hope Base. Li Beiyu's tragic situation had already shocked them, and of course they did not want to get Li Beiyu in the future. This treatment. Besides, they actually have nowhere to go now. Since Wang Feng said that he has a base, this base has become their only choice now. Seeing that all these people chose to join the Hope Base, Wang Feng came to the girl and handed her an awakening potion, and then said, "This is my token. When you meet the people from the Hope Base, give this to they can just look at it. When they see this, they will know that you are the people I have taken in, and I will give you a proper placement." Wang Feng did not directly say that this was an awakening potion. If he told the effect of this awakening potion, there was no guarantee that other survivors who heard about it would not covet it, so he directly said that it was a token. Anyway, after arriving at the Hope Base, Du Enlai and the others after seeing this awakening potion, you will naturally know how to do it. The girl took the awakening potion and watched Wang Feng hesitate to speak, but finally said nothing. "Okay. Find some food here, and then set off," Wang Feng said. Since these devourers regard these people as food reserves, they must have prepared a lot of food for them, so the food they need on the way, there should be nothing to worry about. After hearing Wang Feng's words, the survivors dispersed one after another. After a while, they came back carrying some food in large and small bags. Even the girl found a backpack somewhere and packed a backpack full of food. Food. The girl walked up to Li Beiyu, looked at him carefully, then turned to ask number 7, "How long can he live?" "About a month," number 7 looked at the girl and replied. The girl nodded to number 7, then looked at Wang Feng and said, "Can I kill him?" "Whatever," Wang Feng shrugged, "however, I think he wants you to do this now." The girl looked at Li Beiyu, who was lying on the ground, lingering. After hesitating for a moment, she finally did not kill him because she also saw that when she said she wanted to kill Li Beiyu, there was something in Li Beiyu's eyes when he looked at her. Expectations. The girl took off her backpack and threw it next to Li Beiyu, and then said, "The food here should be enough for you to eat for a month. Enjoy the last month of your life." After saying that, the girl waved to the survivors and shouted loudly, "Let's go." Then, she took a deep look at Wang Feng, turned her head in the direction pointed by Wang Feng, and strode away. The survivors immediately walked in the direction where the girl left. When they passed by Li Beiyu, several people spat at Li Beiyu. Presumably their relatives were also arrested because of Li Beiyu's recommendation. Devourer as food. Seeing these survivors leaving the town and heading towards the Hope Base, Wang Feng waved to number 7 and said, "Okay. Let's go to. Let's go to the next place. More than an hour after Wang Feng and the survivors left, Li Beiyu on the ground seemed to have just woken up from the pain he had experienced. He climbed up from the ground with difficulty and slowly walked to a puddle. Looking down at his old face in the puddle, he suddenly let out a burst of crazy laughter. Ha 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 ha. Hope Base. Black Dragon City. Just wait. I won't give up just like that. You bitch, you will regret not killing me today. Afterwards, Li Beiyu struggled towards the backpack the girl left for him. After bending down to pick it up, he looked at the direction the girl and the others were leaving, with a trace of resentment flashing in his eyes. When we meet again, I will thank you. This bag of food you left for me. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 452. After 10 days of travel, Wang Feng finally arrived at the Devourer's headquarters under the leadership of Number 7. During these 10 days, Wang Feng raided 4 Devourer gathering places without stopping, killed more than 200 Devourers, and rescued more than 5,000 human survivors. However, since Wang Feng selected the Devourer gathering places in a circle, Wang Feng only told the 5,000 survivors the location of the Hope Base. As for whether they can bypass the Devourer and successfully reach the Hope Base, it depends on their luck. Quietly coming to the Devourer headquarters, Wang Feng and Number 7 hid secretly. They planned to wait until dark, and then Number 7 would take Wang Feng to see the commander. After all, the Devourer's night combat ability is relatively poor. Although the Devourer has a lighting ball, that thing is not infinite after all. Number 7. After I assassinate the commander, take care of yourself and see if you can escape in the chaos. I will try my best to hold back those Devourers and create opportunities for you. Wang Feng looked at the Devourer headquarters and said to Number 7. They were still 6 or 7 kilometers away from the Devourer headquarters, so they didn't have to worry about being discovered by the Devourers. Okay. I'll try my best, Number 7 said helplessly. In his opinion, the hope of escaping was very slim, because when he went deep into the headquarters, other Devourers could sense his existence, and he was not as fast as Wang Feng, who could escape from the Devourer's sensing range in a very short time. No matter how powerful Wang Feng was, he was alone and could not contain too many Devourers. Moreover, as long as there were more than 2 elite Devourers entangled him, it would be difficult for him to escape. But now that he had come to this point, it was impossible to regret it. He could only take one step at a time. Anyway, he had enjoyed a free life for almost half a month. Even if he died here, it would be enough. Looking at No 7's expression, Wang Feng understood that this guy probably had no hope of escaping, but now Wang Feng had no way to comfort him, and their plan was imperative. He had to kill the commander, and whether he could succeed depended on his luck. However, due to the existence of apocalypse, Wang Feng felt that as long as the commander was willing to let him stand in front of him, then the commander would basically die. As for whether he could leave safely afterwards, Wang Feng felt that his problem was not big. If he didn't worry about Number 7, he was 100% sure that he could leave smoothly after assassinating the commander. However, after all, he promised Number 7 to try his best to ensure his safety, so Wang Feng would never just care about his own escape. He had decided that he would try his best this time, and would not consider escaping until the last hurricane was launched. As for whether Number 7 could leave before that, it all depended on him. No matter what the final outcome was, as long as he really tried his best, he would have fulfilled his promise. The two waited for 4 hours until it was completely dark. In the Devourer headquarters, the lighting balls also lit up one after another, but Wang Feng did not take action immediately, but continued to wait, because the Devourers also need to sleep. When most of them have fallen asleep, it is the best time for the two to act. The Devourer headquarters is a city. In the central square of the city, there is a huge spaceship parked. However, according to Number 7, This spaceship is actually a creature made by the mother nest. Once it enters the planet and lands, it cannot take off again without recharging by the mother nest. This is also a way for the mother nest to control its devourers. The devourer itself does not have the ability to fly, so even if number 7 has been freed, he still has to stay on this planet. When the mother nest arrives, he has nowhere to hide. Therefore, number 7 hopes that Wang Feng and his team can kill the mother nest. However, number 7 is pessimistic about whether Wang Feng can kill the mother nest. Because the mother nest will never enter a planet before it has been plundered. Unless it can be confirmed that there are no other creatures on the planet except the devourer, the mother nest will come in person to receive the spoils and charge the devourer spacecraft, and then take them to plunder the next planet. Humans do not have the ability to fly. If they want to kill the mother nest, they can only rely on technological weapons such as missiles. However, it is a bit slim to want to kill the mother nest with such weapons, but it is obvious that No 7's mind is not on this now. To consider this, at least wait until he gets through the disaster in front of him. If he can't even get through this level, what happens next has nothing to do with him. After waiting for another 2 hours, only a few of the lighting balls in the city are still working, emitting dazzling light, and the others have been shut down and recycled by the devourers. Most of the devourers in the city live in the city. Only the commander and a few devourer elites live in the spaceship. Moreover, number 7 also said that there must be a large number of humans imprisoned in this spaceship, because the entrances and exits of the spaceship can only be opened by devourers, which is undoubtedly the best place to imprison humans. Wang Feng actually hesitated before, whether to let number 7 wait here, and then sneak into the city quietly, enter the spaceship, and assassinate the devourer commander alone. In this way, No 7's safety can be guaranteed. As for the door of the spaceship, it is not a problem for Wang Feng who has apocalypse. However, after thinking for a long time, Wang Feng gave up this idea. Although number 7 has been very cooperative since surrendering, and he doesn't want number 7 to die, his method is still a bit risky. Once discovered, not only will all the previous efforts be wasted, but even the opportunity to use number 7 again will be lost. So for the sake of safety, Wang Feng decided to use the predetermined plan. Almost. Let's go, Wang Feng looked at number 7 and said softly. Ah. Yes. Almost. Let's go, number 7 sighed, then looked up at the starry night sky, stood up silently, and took the lead to walk towards the city ahead. Looking at No. 7's back, Wang Feng sighed in his heart, then shook his head, followed number 7, and walked forward together. It seems that you are reluctant to let me die, right? As if seeing Wang Feng's expression, number 7 looked at Wang Feng and asked softly while walking towards the city. Haha. You are my ally now, and it is of course best if you can survive. Besides, if you die, the life core I gave you will be wasted. Wang Feng laughed. That won't happen. Number 7 shook his head and said, you can absorb my body after I die, and the life core in my body will be taken back by you again. Thank you for your advice. If you really die in a while, I will definitely follow your advice and collect your body for you. Wang Feng looked at number 7 and said seriously, but I have a hunch that you will not die this time. Really? Number 7 paused for a moment, looked at Wang Feng. I hope your hunch is accurate. In the words of you humans, I hope so. Then, he continued to walk forward. After that, the two stopped talking and went straight into the city, heading towards the spaceship. After all, this was the headquarters of the Devourers, so although there were no defensive walls built around the city, the Devourers still left some sentinels on the top of several high-rise buildings to guard the city. However, although they found Wang Feng and number 7 entering the city, no Devourer came forward to stop or interrogate them, because they felt that number 7 was an elite Devourer, and these sentinels were all predators, and it was impossible for them to find that No 7's nest mark had disappeared. Although Wang Feng was a human, there was only one of him, and he was brought in by one of his own kind, so these devourer sentinels just glanced at them and no longer paid attention to them. This was also the reason why number 7 was confident in taking Wang Feng to see the commander. As a member of the Devourers, he certainly knew his own kind. In fact, even if there were elite Devourers among the Sentinels, they would basically ignore them. Whether the nest mark still existed required the Devourers to sense it very carefully to find out. However, since this situation is a special case, it has only happened once in the long history of the Devourer. Therefore, generally speaking, the Devourer will not actively detect the existence of the nest mark of other Devourers, and this action is likely to offend other Devourers. However, when number 7 arrived in front of the commander, if the commander wanted to give orders to number 7, he would find that number 7 did not have the nest mark to accept his orders. At that time, number 7 would not be able to hide and would be directly discovered by the commander. Arriving at the entrance of the spaceship, number 7 stretched out his hand and pressed on a square identification area on the side of the door. The door of the spaceship opened silently. Then, number 7 looked back at the night sky again, with a look of nostalgia on his face. Then he gritted his teeth, turned back and stepped into the spaceship and walked towards the interior of the spaceship. Wang Feng also looked up at the night sky, and then followed number 7 into the interior of the spaceship and came to a long corridor. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 453. In fact, before Wang Feng entered the spacecraft, he originally planned to summon Apocalypse to see if Apocalypse could destroy the spacecraft. However, thinking about what number 7 said, this spaceship was actually made by the Brood. As a living creature, Wang Feng no longer dared to act rashly. If it's a human spaceship, that's fine. If it's a living thing, if he stabs him with a knife, he will definitely find him. Wang Feng doesn't want to alert the snake now, so he gives up the idea. Following number 7 along the way, they met several elite devourers along the way. However, they all just glanced at Wang Feng, who was following number 7 strangely, seeming to be wondering why number 7 didn't. This human being was locked up and had to be taken to the core of the spacecraft, but no one came forward to question him. Seeing this situation, Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief. While walking along the way, Wang Feng also carefully memorized the route, because after taking action for a while, number 7 may not necessarily lead him to break out of the encirclement, and may probably break out on his own. Escape, this is what Wang Feng suggested to him, so Wang Feng may have to break out of the encirclement on his own. This situation is different from what Wang Feng had imagined in advance. He originally thought that the Devourer's headquarters should be in a city. In this case, it would be more suitable for his escape. However, now in this closed spaceship, undoubtedly, it made Wang Feng's escape very difficult. However, Wang Feng was not ready to give up. One was because he had to kill one of the two commanders when they were not together, and the other was because now that he had entered the spacecraft, even if he changed his mind, it would not be so easy to leave. The path in the spaceship is very complicated, especially the leader of the Devourer, who is still in the center of the spacecraft. Because the Devourer spaceship is different from human beings, it is a living thing in itself, so there is no need for internal Devourer control. Direction. After following number 7, Wang Feng, who memorized the route by heart, was already dizzy and simply gave up. After a while, just kill all the way. Anyway, as long as you can rush outside the spacecraft before your physical strength is exhausted. After walking for about 5 minutes, number 7 and Wang Feng finally stood outside a cabin. Standing at the door of the cabin, number 7 remained motionless and began to communicate with the commander inside in the Devourer's unique way. There is a method similar to spiritual dialogue between them. They can communicate with their own kind within a certain range without the need for language. Previously, it was because they needed to adapt to the lifestyle of creatures on this planet that they had not used their own methods, but used human language to communicate. Now that they are inside the spacecraft, they can use their own communication methods. Commander, I brought a human back, you should be able to meet him, Number 7 said in his heart to the Devourer commander in the cabin. Is this the food you gave me? The commander naturally felt Wang Feng at the door. After arriving on this planet, he has not found any creature that can reach level 5 among humans. Wang Feng is the first creature he has ever seen. 1. Because the higher the level of the creature, the stronger the vitality in the body, and the more delicious it is for the Devourer, so the Devourer commander asked this question. That's right. This human being is very special. I think you should like it, Number 7 replied. Huh? Why? The Devourer commander asked a little strangely. Level 5 creatures are not particularly rare on this planet. The day before yesterday, the Devourer commander also devoured a mutated beast that had reached the 5th level. There may be a life core in his body. I swallowed a person who was with him before, but I accidentally discovered that the human body contained a life core, and it gave me a sense of autonomy. Number 7 said that he would be exposed soon anyway, so there was no need to hide this. Moreover, this was the only way Number 7 could think of to bring Wang Feng to the commander of Devourer. What? Life core? The Devourer commander was startled. Then he sensed Number 7 and found that his core of consciousness no longer had the brood mark. So the Devourer commander immediately said, bring him in. After the Devourer commander learned that Number 7 had been freed, he couldn't help but feel alert. As a Devourer, of course he knew what the freed Devourer would think. The one who was missing before was freed. The Devourer is a good example. However, due to the desire for the life core, the Devourer commander still asked Number 7 to bring Wang Feng into his room. This was something Number 7 had already planned. Of course, he knew how powerful the life core was to the Devourer. Even the brood nest is an incomparable thirst for the core of life. It was because of this life core that the Kali tribe attracted the Devourers. After a long battle, they were almost wiped out. However, although the Devourers wiped out more than 90% of the Kali tribe, he fell short and failed to obtain the life core. Instead, the escaped Kali tribe brought the life core to this planet, ultimately taking advantage of Wang Feng. After the Devourer commander finished speaking, the door to the cabin in front of Number 7 and Wang Feng opened silently. Since this cabin is the core of the entire spacecraft, only the Devourer commander can open and close it. Number 7 does not have this ability. Seeing the door of the cabin open, Number 7 looked back at Wang Feng with a determined look in his eyes, then nodded to Wang Feng and stepped into the cabin. Wang Feng hurriedly followed and stepped in. He found that the area of the cabin was very large, nearly 1,000 square meters. He was surprised and remembered a very critical problem. Because although the appearance of this spaceship looks very large, from the time just walking and the size of the cabin in the core area, it seems that the appearance of this spaceship is not quite proportional to the interior, and the interior seems to be much larger than the appearance. The spaceship is parked in the central square of the city. Even if Wang Feng walks from one end to the other, it will definitely not take 5 minutes. What's more, he has only walked half of the spaceship and came to the center of the spaceship from the periphery. No wonder Wang Feng always felt that something was wrong when he was walking just now, but he couldn't figure out what was wrong. Now it seems that it is the problem of the internal area of the spaceship. As if knowing that Wang Feng would find it strange, although Number 7 did not turn around, he whispered, "This spaceship is a creature made by the mother nest. The mother nest has spatial abilities, so the interior of this spaceship is dozens of times larger than it looks from the outside." Wang Feng suddenly realized, and at the same time remembered his own apocalypse space, and the spatial ability used by the mysterious old man to save him. When he thought about the fact that the Devourer Mother Nest also had spatial abilities, Wang Feng couldn't help but wonder if there was any connection between the three. This cabin is somewhat different from the main control room of an ordinary spaceship. There are no portholes, no monitoring screens, and even control panels. Wang Feng did not see them. There was only a large chair in the center of the room, on which sat a very burly devourer. It seemed that he was the devourer commander mentioned by number 7. At this time, number 7 was approaching the commander with Wang Feng. On both sides of the commander, there were more than a dozen devourer elites standing. However, Wang Feng's eyes were now focused on the devourer commander. Through the sky eye, Wang Feng discovered that the devourer commander's weakness was actually at the neck. He couldn't help but secretly curse the devourer commander for being stupid. Don't you know that the neck is one of the weaknesses of humans? He put his consciousness core there, which was simply asking for death. However, this was definitely good news for Wang Feng. When Wang Feng and his team were about 10 meters away from the devourer commander, the devourer Tunchu suddenly stretched out a palm and made a blocking gesture, and then said, "Stop." Following the devourer commander's voice, the devourer elites on both sides of him also gathered in the middle and blocked the devourer commander behind him. Wang Feng couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. In this way, the difficulty of assassinating the devourer commander increased a lot. However, number 7 looked at Wang Feng at this time and gave him a reassuring look. Number 7 knew that the devourer commander would definitely be wary of Wang Feng, but when he could confirm that Wang Feng really had a life core in his body, he would definitely take action himself to capture Wang Feng. Because he would not let other devourers take action to capture Wang Feng. Every devourer knew very well the significance of the life core to them. If these devourer elites attacked the devourer commander because of the life core, the commander would also fall on the spot. Although the commander can use the mother nest mark to issue a mandatory order, the devourers who dare to disobey this order will eventually be recovered by the mother nest, but a life core is enough for these devourer elites to disobey the commander's order regardless of the consequences. Number 7 put his hands behind his back and made a gesture to Wang Feng. This was an action they had agreed on before, meaning that Wang Feng should release the breath of the life core a little bit, so that the devourer commander could confirm that there was indeed a life core in Wang Feng's body. After seeing No 7's gesture, Wang Feng looked at the devourer elites in front of him, and calmly released the aura of his life core. Suddenly, a strong wave of life energy emanated from Wang Feng's body. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 454. As Wang Feng made this move, the devourer commander's voice suddenly rang out, "Get out of the way." He had already sensed the life core in Wang Feng's body. It seemed that this human's body actually contained a life core, which made the devourer commander unable to sit still. He suddenly stood up and loudly ordered the devourer elites in front of him to get out of the way. Although the devourer commander also understood that Wang Feng must have a purpose in emitting the life core in his body at this time, in the eyes of the devourer commander, even if Wang Feng wanted to harm him, it was just wishful thinking. He could feel that Wang Feng's strength was obviously the standard of a level 5 creature. This kind of fluctuation of life energy cannot be faked, that is, Wang Feng could not have hidden his strength to lure him into action. As devourers, because of their devouring ability, they have always been at an advantage in battles with other creatures. Even if they are of the same level, they can basically win the battle. What's more, as a level 7 creature, how could he be defeated by Wang Feng? Besides, the temptation of the life core made him a little impatient at this time, and he didn't care to think too much, especially when he found that after his order was issued, the devourer elites who were blocking him didn't care about his order as before, but hesitated and looked at each other, as if they had some ideas. The breath of the life core in Wang Feng's body was also felt by these devourer elites, and their eyes also shot out greedy light. Just as number 7 expected, no devourer could resist the temptation of the life core. The devourer commander's face became a little ugly, and then he immediately issued a mandatory order through his mother nest mark. This time, these elite devourers finally gave way. Even if they were reluctant, they had to execute the devourer commander's order due to the restrictions of the mother nest mark. That's why number 7 assured Wang Feng. If the commander dared to let those elites capture Wang Feng, and if these elites could devour the life core in Wang Feng's body the moment they captured him, then they would be free like number 7, and they would be able to disobey the order of the devourer commander, and even join forces to kill the devourer commander. But now, these devourer elites, because of the mother nest mark, could not resist the order of the devourer commander, so they had to step aside and watch the devourer commander walk towards Wang Feng. Looking at the devourer commander walking towards him, Wang Feng concentrated and calmed down, ready to attack. The opponent was a commander-level devourer who had reached the 7th level biological realm. He might only have one chance to attack. He had to use the secret that the opponent didn't know, that he could resist their devouring skills. In the first fight, he had to make a success with one strike, otherwise, he might never have another chance. Although Wang Feng's characteristic gave him an advantage when he faced the devourer, the opponent was 2 levels higher than him after all. This gap in strength could not be made up by relying on Apocalypse and not being afraid of the opponent's devourer. The devourer commander walked towards Wang Feng quickly because he was very anxious now. Although the elite devourers could not resist the mandatory order he issued through the mother nest mark, especially for the sake of safety, the devourer commander gave these devourer elites orders, not only to let them stand aside, but also to not hurt Wang Feng. But after all, the life core is still in Wang Feng's body. Only by swallowing it into his own body can he really get it, and the devourer commander can be completely relieved. Moreover, in the eyes of the devourer commander, the real threat to him is not Wang Feng, a level 5 human, but the number 7 next to him. Number 7 is his kind, and has already obtained the life core and gained freedom, so he cannot command number 7 now. The mandatory order is invalid for number 7. Originally, the devourer commander could order other devourer elites to kill number 7, which would be the safest. However, since this human with the life core was brought to him by number 7, he could not figure out number 7's true intention for a while, so he did not kill number 7 first, but he was wary of number 7. However, when he saw the devourer commander walking towards Wang Feng, number 7 hesitated for a moment, and then retreated, as if to show that he would not stop the commander from killing Wang Feng and absorbing his life core. Seeing number 7's reaction, the devourer commander finally felt relieved. He came to Wang Feng and stretched out his hand to grab Wang Feng without saying a word. In his opinion, a small level 5 creature, even if it has a life core, has no power to resist in front of him. Perhaps creatures with life cores can have a great advantage when fighting other races, because the recovery ability of life cores is quite strong, but for them, it is not much of an advantage, because their racial skill is devouring. As long as Wang Feng's body is caught by him and he starts to devour, the huge pain is enough to make any creature unable to launch a counterattack, and even have no chance to struggle. They can only watch as their vitality is sucked dry by him and then die. Seeing the devourer commander grabbing him directly, Wang Feng dodged backwards with a look of horror, and at the same time raised his right arm and raised it back, as if he was going to attack the devourer commander with a fist. The devourer commander showed a sneer on his face, ignored Wang Feng's fist, continued to step forward, and grabbed Wang Feng's shoulder again. Snap! Wang Feng seemed to be a little confused, and was caught by the devourer leader by his left shoulder. At the moment when Wang Feng's left shoulder was grabbed, the devourer commander's face showed ecstasy, because he knew that the life core was basically his now, but immediately, his expression began to become stiff, and his eyes shot out an incredible look. Wang Feng was waiting for this opportunity. Taking advantage of the devourer commander, when he found that his devouring skill became invalid, Wang Feng raised his right arm and quickly moved forward. At the same time, the knife flashed, and the blade of Apocalypse appeared in his hand. Since the Apocalypse blade is no longer the short dagger it was at the beginning, when it just appeared, the tip of the Apocalypse blade was already very close to the neck of the Devourer Commander. With the movement of Wang Feng's arm, the Devourer Commander, who was shocked that his skills were ineffective, did not even dodge and was pierced through the neck by Apocalypse. When Apocalypse pierced the Devourer Commander's neck, it also pierced his consciousness core hidden here, and at the same time launched the devouring and began to absorb his consciousness core. The Devourer Commander, who felt all this, had an expression on his face that was even more surprised than when he just found out that his devouring skills were ineffective against Wang Feng. It was like seeing a ghost. Apocalypse. The Devourer Commander uttered 2 words, and at the same time, his eyes were full of fear. At this moment, he finally understood why Wang Feng was not afraid of his devouring skills. The Devourer Commander was already a high-ranking figure in the Devourer clan. Of course, he knew about the Devourer clan's divine weapon, Apocalypse, but he could not have imagined that Apocalypse would be in the hands of a human, and that this human was standing right in front of him. A level 5 creature, no matter what, could not possibly cause any harm to him, but if this creature held Apocalypse, the Devourer clan's divine weapon, then, the result would be completely different. However, the Devourer Commander knew it too late. Now he could see his own end. Moreover, due to his previous mandatory order, the elite Devourers who saw him being attacked had no way to come forward to rescue him, because his order also included not to harm this human. Now his consciousness core is being absorbed by Apocalypse, and he can't change the order even if he wants to. Moreover, because his consciousness core is under attack, the Devourer Commander has no time to take care of his body, and just stands face to face with Wang Feng in a strange way. The Devourer elites looked at each other, but did not take any action. Although from the Devourer Commander's appearance, his consciousness core must have been attacked, but they clearly saw that the Devourer Commander's hand was on Wang Feng's shoulder first. Why didn't Wang Feng's vitality lose the slightest phenomenon? Thinking of the order given by the commander, these Devourer elites chose to wait and see. Besides, they just received a mandatory order not to harm Wang Feng, and this order has not been cancelled yet. Not to mention that Wang Feng is now attacking the Devourer Commander. Even if he attacks them, they can only dodge and cannot fight back. Unless the Devourer Commander dies, his nest mark disappears, and no longer suppresses them, this order will be cancelled. As for number 7, the other elite Devourers do not know that his nest mark has disappeared, so in their eyes, number 7 is still one of them, and it is also under the order of the Devourer Commander that they stand behind the human motionless. The Devourer Commander's consciousness core is being rapidly absorbed by Apocalypse at this time. Even though he is a commander-level Devourer, Apocalypse is the artifact of their race, which was bred by the nest for an unknown number of years. For them, Devourers, there is a natural suppression. Therefore, although the Devourer Commander's consciousness core desperately wants to escape upwards, it is somewhat powerless. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 455. Wang Feng could also feel at this time that the core of consciousness of the Devourer Commander was struggling to escape. However, under the continuous absorption of Apocalypse, the struggle of this core of consciousness seemed to be useless. However, Wang Feng looked at the person behind him at this time. Number 7, with a thought in his heart, immediately started communicating with Tiankai. Apocalypse. If we don't absorb all the consciousness core of the Devourer Commander, will the Devourer Commander be able to recover quickly? Wang Feng really asked the right person this question. Of course, the current Apocalypse artifact spirit is quite clear about this question. He answered without hesitation. No. The core of consciousness is the most fundamental and important existence of the Devourer. It is equivalent to the human soul. Once it is traumatized, it is almost permanent. Let alone a quick recovery, even if it is given a long time, can it recovery is a problem. Unless the brood comes, his soul can be restored. In fact, the core of his consciousness has been severely damaged now. The reason why he is still struggling desperately is just an instinctive reaction of life, just like those mental patients or dementia patients among you humans. Although it seems like they don't care about anything, but when their lives are threatened, they still instinctively feel fear and want to escape. This does not come from their thoughts, but from the instinct of life. Any life has the instinct to survive. This is also the case with the core of consciousness of the Devourer Commander. Even if you stop devouring now, he will not be able to go and command other devourers to attack you, because most of his consciousness core has been lost. After hearing Apocalypse's answer, Wang Feng immediately ordered Apocalypse to stop devouring. At the moment Apocalypse stopped, the remaining life core of the Devourer Commander immediately fled upwards and escaped into the commander's head. Then, the Devourer Commander, the body of the Commander-in-Chief, also began to move. His body moved backward, preparing to escape. Apocalypse was right. The Devourer Commander's consciousness was now completely confused and he could no longer control it freely. He was only out of fear of Apocalypse, so he subconsciously controlled his body and wanted to escape. How could Wang Feng give him this opportunity? He immediately took a step forward, and at the same time, the Apocalypse in his hand turned 180 degrees on the neck of the Devourer Commander, cutting off his head, and then instantly put his body into the Apocalypse space, and kicked with his right foot. The head of the Devourer Commander kicked number 7, and he shouted, "Hurry up and devour the core of his consciousness." Number 7 instinctively took over the head of the Devourer Commander, and looked at Wang Feng with a somewhat complicated look. Of course, he didn't know that there was a consciousness belonging to the Devourer hidden in Apocalypse. Therefore, Wang Feng's current behavior was in his eyes. It seems quite risky. Since number 7 was just a low-level predator at the beginning, his understanding of the commander-level Devourer was far inferior to that of the Apocalypse weapon spirit. Naturally, he did not know that Wang Feng would only do this after he was sure of it. Take such action. After Wang Feng kicked the head to number 7, he directly activated the blast and rushed towards the dozen elite devourers, while waving the Apocalypse in his hand. This time, the devourer elites hadn't figured out the situation. Wang Feng had already killed the commander, and then rushed into the middle of them. Apocalypse flashed, and within 3 seconds of being unable to breathe, Wang Feng 2 devourer elites died under Wang Feng's Apocalypse one after another, and even their bodies were put away. At this time, these elite devourers reacted immediately, but what made Wang Feng a little strange was that these elite devourers did not surround Wang Feng and attack him in groups. Instead, they fled in all directions to avoid Wang Feng. He looked very embarrassed. Wang Feng was stagnant, but he recovered immediately. He had been prepared to be besieged, so he launched the blast at the moment he took action. He didn't expect these devourer elites to be so timid. More than a dozen of them were. He didn't dare to fight with himself, but chose to run away. Number 7, who took over Wang Feng's kick to the head of the devourer commander, had already begun to devour the remaining core of his consciousness. His method of devouring was somewhat different from that of Apocalypse. Apocalypse was about plundering and destroying the core of his consciousness. Directly converted into Apocalypse points, that is to say, the core of consciousness that is completely absorbed by Apocalypse is a real death, leaving no trace left. As for number 7, it is of a fusion nature, because it requires the help of the consciousness core of the Devourer Commander to advance him. Therefore, for his fusion, the consciousness core of the Devourer Commander is not as good as when he wants to be absorbed by Apocalypse. Resistance, and now that he is locked inside a small head, even if he wants to escape, he is unable to do anything. But when number 7 saw the reactions of other devourer elites, he immediately slowed down his devouring speed and shouted directly to Wang Feng. Forced order. These elite devourers have received a forced order from the commander of the Tuna Messenger. They should not harm you. This order will not be cancelled until the commander is completely dead. Kill them with all your strength quickly. You are not in danger now. After all, he is a devourer, so although Wang Feng didn't know why these elite devourers didn't gather to attack him, but scattered and fled, number 7 could roughly guess the situation with just one look, and it was completely correct. But number 7 made some mistakes. His shouting exposed himself directly and attracted the attention of other elite devourers. Although they could not hurt Wang Feng due to the mandatory order left by the devourer commander, it did not mean that they could not attack number 7. Moreover, they knew that as long as they took the head from number 7 and devoured it immediately or destroyed it directly, when the devourer commander's consciousness core completely disappeared, the mother nest mark that suppressed them would also disappear, and the mandatory order would be cancelled. At that time, it would be time for them to counterattack. Seeing these devourers rushing towards him, No 7's face changed. He also knew that his shouting was a bit rash. It would be better to keep silent. Anyway, whether he shouted or not, Wang Feng would not let these devourer elites go. He just had to slow down the swallowing speed secretly and hold on until Wang Feng killed them all. But now that things have come to this, there is no point in regretting. Number 7 did not speed up the swallowing speed. Instead, he threw the head of the devourer commander directly to Wang Feng, shouting, "Keep it! As long as he is not dead, these guys can't do anything to you." Wang Feng looked at the flying head and directly greeted it with the apocalypse in his hand, preparing to put the head into the apocalypse space first, and then take it out for number 7 to swallow after killing all the devourer elites. Of course, during this period, he still has to protect number 7 and not let him die. "Madman! Don't put this into the space," Apocalypse's voice suddenly sounded, and it was a little hurried. After No 7's reminder, Apocalypse also reacted at this time and understood why these elite devourers did not besiege Wang Feng. The mandatory order relies on the suppression of the mother nest mark, and those devourer elites will not be able to resist and can only obey unconditionally. If you put him into the apocalypse space, it will isolate the suppression of the mother nest mark on them, and the mandatory order will be cancelled accordingly, so this head must be left outside. Damn, Wang Feng was shocked, then he directly recalled Apocalypse, grabbed the head, and immediately threw it to number 7, then summoned Apocalypse again, rushed to number 7 quickly, and shouted, "You can't put it away, you hold it, I will protect you." Since Wang Feng has the apocalypse space, all his things are stored in this space, so he doesn't have a backpack to hold the head, and holding it in his hand will affect his performance, so Wang Feng simply threw the head back to number 7 and intercepted the devourer elites who were trying to snatch the head from number 7. Although number 7 didn't know why Wang Feng threw the head to him again, he didn't have time to think about it now, so he jumped up to take the head and then ran directly to Wang Feng. At this time, the two devourers had come behind number 7 and reached out to grab number 7. Since devourers have a unique racial skill, devouring, basically these devourers don't use weapons very much. It is said that high-level devourers can condense a part of their body into a weapon of their choice after a long time, and this weapon will be indestructible and very powerful, but they are only elite devourers, even the commander level ones do not have this ability, let alone them. Because number 7 had to take over the head, he dodged a little slowly and was grabbed by the shoulder from behind by the devourer on the left. Fortunately, he was also a devourer, and devourers of the same kind could resist devouring skills, so he did not suffer any damage. However, the devourer did not want to devour number 7, but to delay him first and wait for his other companions to arrive. At that time, several people worked together to launch the devouring skill. Number 7 would definitely not be able to resist the devouring of so many of his kind at the same time, and would be devoured by them in an instant, turning into nothingness, and then the devourer leader's head in his hand would also be killed. At that time, they could cancel the mandatory order and work together to kill Wang Feng. Moreover, they could also obtain the life core in this human and get the freedom they had always dreamed of. Thinking of this, the devourer who grabbed No 7's shoulder had a gleam of anticipation in his eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 456. Although this elite devourer also knew that it was very likely that the life core in Wang Feng's body was not enough to free all of the dozen elite devourers, at that time, they could only rely on their luck. Now that the commander had left, it was unknown how long it would take for him to come back, and this one here was basically no different from being dead. In this way, after being freed, they had enough time to escape from here. Although they would be caught again after the arrival of the mother nest a year later, being able to enjoy a year of free life was already quite exciting for the devourers. However, although the idea of this devourer elite was good, it was not easy to realize it, because he was only concerned with catching number 7, but forgot that there was another Wang Feng rushing towards number 7. The knife flashed, and the devourer elite's expectant expression froze, and then his eyes slowly lost their luster, and then, even his body suddenly disappeared, revealing Wang Feng standing behind him. However, the moment Wang Feng collected his body, he immediately rushed to another devourer elite who came with him to capture number 7, and slashed at the devourer elite with the apocalypse in his hand again. Thanks to No 7's reminder, Wang Feng now knows that these devourers dare not attack him. It is certainly not Wang Feng's character not to take advantage of the opportunity, so he completely let go, did not make any defense, and attacked with all his strength. The other devourer elite saw that his companion was killed by Wang Feng in an instant, and he could not attack Wang Feng at all because of the mandatory order of the devourer commander. Seeing Wang Feng's apocalypse slashing at him, he immediately withdrew without hesitation, but now Wang Feng is still in the state of the wind. In terms of speed, no one here can compare with him, and this devourer elite naturally cannot escape easily. The light of apocalypse flashed and slashed directly at the left shoulder of this devourer, where the core of his consciousness is. The devourer elite was horrified, not understanding why Wang Feng could still cut directly here with one knife when he had already moved the location of his consciousness core. The fate of the devourer commander and the death of his companion just now have made this elite devourer know that the weapon in Wang Feng's hand can directly cause fatal damage to him. In a hurry, this devourer elite had to stretch out his arm to block apocalypse, but the sharpness of apocalypse was not something his arm could block. With two puff, sounds of the blade entering the flesh, apocalypse directly cut off his arm, then cut into his left shoulder and cut into his consciousness core. When Wang Feng arrived, number 7 had already stuffed the devourer commander's head into his chest, because their bodies were originally made of life energy, not a fixed shape. When they arrived at a planet, they would transform into the appearance of the ruling creature of that planet. This is the custom of them, the devourers. However, the image of number 7 is a bit scary now. His chest is sunken directly, and the head of the devourer commander is stuck in it. It looks like he has a head on his chest. Number 7 now knows that if he wants to survive, he must rely on Wang Feng. If he is alone, as long as there are more than 3 devourer elites, they will be able to kill him. If he dies, the devourer commander's head will not be saved. At that time, these devourer elites will lose their mandatory orders, and Wang Feng's battle will become difficult. It can be said that the two are now in a mutually dependent relationship. Losing either one will be disadvantageous to the other. Of course, the reason why Wang Feng came to save number 7 is related to his promise. He said that he would try his best to protect number 7, so he would naturally try his best to do it. Either don't say it, or don't do it. If you say it but don't do it, then it's not Wang Feng. Seeing Wang Feng kill his 4 companions so cleanly, the other devourer elites couldn't help but slow down their speed. Their difficulty now was that they couldn't attack Wang Feng. Otherwise, even if Wang Feng had apocalypse in his hand, even if Wang Feng was not afraid of their devourer ability, they would rush forward, even if they were unarmed, they would be able to tear Wang Feng into pieces. After Wang Feng killed 4 Devourer elites, the other Devourer elites had seen some clues. They guessed that the weapon in Wang Feng's hand should have a destructive effect on their consciousness core, but this destructive process would last for a while. Although it was very short, it was enough for them to use it. Therefore, the primary target of these Devourer elites now is the head of the Devourer commander on No. 7's chest. Only by snatching that head and destroying it can they attack Wang Feng. Although the Devourers have a strict hierarchy, it is impossible for the inferior to rebel against the superior. But now the Devourer commander is already dead, so these Devourer elites have no scruples about destroying the commander's head, but the problem now is that Wang Feng is blocking number 7, and anyone who approaches number 7 will be attacked by Wang Feng. Originally there were 16 Devourer elites, and after Wang Feng killed 4, the others dared not act rashly. If Wang Feng killed a few more, then even if they destroyed the head, they might not be able to kill Wang Feng. They didn't move, but Wang Feng couldn't stop. The time for the gust of wind was limited. Although this was the first time he launched the gust of wind today and his physical strength was still abundant, he was now in the lair of the Devourer and had to save his physical strength as much as possible. Wang Feng looked at the Devourer elites around him, turned around suddenly, and rushed towards the 2 in front of him on the left. The apocalypse in his hand created countless knife shadows and covered their heads. The 2 Devourer elites saw that they had become Wang Feng's target. The moment Wang Feng just pretended to pounce on them, they ran away without thinking, while the Devourers in other directions took advantage of Wang Feng's departure and rushed towards the unprotected number 7 together. However, these Devourers underestimated Wang Feng's speed and combat experience. Wang Feng's action of rushing to the 2 Devourer elites in front of him on the left was originally a feint, in order to make these Devourers think that he was going to attack and lure them to attack number 7. Wang Feng's body had just jumped out a little bit when he landed directly. He stepped on the ground with both feet and pushed hard. His body swept backwards at a very fast speed and met 2 Devourer elites who were rushing towards number 7 from the front. The 2 Devourer elites didn't expect that Wang Feng was actually using the strategy of making a feint to the east and attacking in the west. When they found that Wang Feng was rushing towards them, they had just jumped up and were in mid-air. They had no ability to change their direction to avoid it. They had to bite the bullet and prepare to fight Wang Feng. Moreover, the 2 Devourer elites should know that they might not be able to escape, so they shouted, "You continue, we will entangle him." Their idea was very simple. They couldn't hurt Wang Feng now, so they couldn't attack Wang Feng. But if Wang Feng wanted to kill them, they could still dodge or block. Even if Wang Feng succeeded in killing them, it would take at least a few breaths. With these few breaths, it should be enough for other Devourer elites to kill number 7. As long as they caught number 7, a breath of time would be enough for them to devour number 7 completely, and not even the head of the Devourer commander would be left. Anyway, the 2 of them were now being targeted by Wang Feng. Even if they wanted to survive, it was a bit unrealistic. They might as well use their lives to buy time for their companions. They did have a good idea, but number 7 was not a fool. How could he stay there and let those Devourer elites focus on him? The moment Wang Feng left him, his body also moved, and the direction was exactly the direction that Wang Feng had initially intended to rush in. Because the 2 Devourer elites in that direction had fled directly when Wang Feng had just launched the attack, there was no Devourer elite in that direction, which became a relatively safe place. At this time, Wang Feng had collided head-on with the 2 Devourer elites. It might be that these Devourer elites knew that no matter where they hid their consciousness cores, Wang Feng could feel it, so they simply stopped moving. The consciousness cores of the 2 of them were between their chests and lower abdomens. Since the 3 of them were in the air, there were no fancy moves to use. Moreover, the Devourer elites had no weapons and could only fight Wang Feng, who was holding the apocalypse, with bare hands. In this regard, they were at a disadvantage. If it weren't for their strange racial skills, Even if they had the weapons that Apostle John had made before, they could use them to support Wang Feng for a while. Puff, Wang Feng collided directly with one of the two Devourer elites in the air. The apocalypse in his hand pierced his body directly from the front. At the same time, he kicked the other Devourer elite and kicked him away. With the reaction force of this kick, his body flew backwards with the Devourer elite that he had pierced. At this time, the Devourer elites on the right were preparing to rush past Wang Feng and kill number 7 who was behind him on the left. However, Wang Feng flew backwards and flew in front of them. If they continued to rush forward, they would directly encounter Wang Feng. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 457. Although Wang Feng and number 7 had never discussed it, they unconsciously completed a perfect cooperation, so that the Devourer elites, after losing another companion, not only did not encounter number 7, but also put themselves in a dilemma. Go forward? This human has blocked their way, and their speed is impossible to bypass this guy. What about retreating? His companion would have died in vain. They are in trouble, but Wang Feng is not at all, because his win time is limited. Even if these Devourer elites want to delay time, Wang Feng will not agree. In the process of flying backwards, Apocalypse completed the devouring of the Devourer elite and absorbed all of his consciousness core. After the Devourer elite died completely, Wang Feng directly collected his body. At this time, his body had fallen between number 7 and the group of Devourer elites. After landing, Wang Feng did not stop, but jumped up and rushed towards the Devourer elites in front of him. There were only 11 left, because Wang Feng had just killed one, and the other one was just kicked by Wang Feng. For Devourers, even if Wang Feng kicked them once, even 100 or 1,000 times, it would not cause any real damage to them. The only thing that could really hurt Devourers was the apocalypse in Wang Feng's hand. If Wang Feng lost the apocalypse and he did not have the fire ability, it would be difficult to really hurt these Devourers. Now, of the 11 Devourer elites, 3 were behind Wang Feng, and 8 were in front of him. The 3 behind were the 2 that were scared away by Wang Feng before, plus the one that was kicked away by him. As for those in front, they wanted to take advantage of Wang Feng's raid on the 2 Devourer elites on the left and rush up to kill number 7. Although it might be easier to kill the 3 behind, the 3 Devourers are scattered, and if there are only 3 of them, number 7 should be able to hold on for a while. The Devourer elites in front saw Wang Feng actually rushing towards them. The Devourer elite standing in the front also made the same choice as the Devourer elite killed by Wang Feng before, and shouted directly, "You 3 kill that traitor, we will entangle this guy." Hearing his voice, the other Devourer elites did not raise any objections. The 9 in front gathered together, and the 3 behind rushed directly towards number 7. Wang Feng didn't care about number 7. If he couldn't hold on for more than 10 seconds from the siege of the 3 Devourer elites, then no matter what he did, he couldn't save him. So, during this period, he could only rely on himself. Seeing the Devourer elites gathered together in front of him, Wang Feng smiled slightly. This was exactly what he wanted. Only half of the time was left for Jai Feng. If these Devourer elites did not gather together but turned around and started to flee, Wang Feng would have a headache. This was also because these Devourer elites did not know Wang Feng. They did not know that his current speed was achieved by relying on supernatural powers. They thought that his original speed was so fast, so they chose to let people entangle him and take the opportunity to kill number 7 and the Devourer commander. Wang Feng did not slow down and directly crashed into the Devourer elites. If there was no mandatory order issued by the Devourer commander, Wang Feng's action would basically be no different from seeking death. Even if he could kill 1 or 2 Devourer elites, that little time would be enough for other Devourer elites to dismember his body and no one would be able to find anyone. But now Wang Feng is sure that these Devourer elites cannot attack him, so he is very bold, killing as fast as possible, without considering his own safety. It can be said that this is a completely rogue style of play. The Devourer commander must not have thought that because he was not confident in these subordinates, the order he issued would pit these Devourer elites quite miserably. After Wang Feng entered these Devourer elites, Apocalypse directly killed a guy who was facing him, but at the moment when Apocalypse inserted into the chest of this Devourer, his arm suddenly exerted force and tightly grasped Apocalypse. Following his action, two more Devourer elites immediately rushed up from both sides. Their target was also Apocalypse. Wang Feng couldn't touch it, but his weapon could be touched, right? They gathered together for this, to take away the weapon of this human first. At this time, behind the Devourer elite whose body was pierced, there were also two of his companions, who also stretched out their hands and tightly grasped the blade that came out of his back. In order to seize Wang Feng's Apocalypse, these Devourer elites were really fighting hard. They saw clearly that Wang Feng killed all his companions with this weapon. If they took his weapon, this human would be a toothless tiger. Therefore, they did not hesitate to sacrifice one of them to carry out their plan. Although Wang Feng did not hold this strange weapon when he walked into the room, it suddenly appeared in his hand when he was assassinating the Devourer commander. This was the effect of surprise, and he successfully sneak attacked the Devourer commander, making him cowardly and having most of his consciousness core sucked away by Wang Feng. Now there is only a head left, which is being held by number 7 and jumping up and down, avoiding the attacks of the three Devourers. Fortunately, the room is big enough, and it seems that he can run for a while. Run. Boy. Thinking of the previous scene, the Devourer elites knew that this weapon was a bit strange, but now they can only take this method to weaken Wang Feng's combat effectiveness, because they can't attack Wang Feng directly, and Wang Feng's speed is fast. If they continue, they are likely to all die under Wang Feng's weapon. Moreover, for the sudden appearance of Apocalypse, these Devourer elites directly attributed him to Wang Feng having a space equipment. After all, their mother nest has space ability, especially, the spaceship they are now in also uses space rules. Therefore, they are sure that as long as they take Apocalypse, Wang Feng, who has lost his weapon, will definitely reduce his combat effectiveness. Their level was too low, and they didn't know anything about Apocalypse. Even the Devourer commander didn't know much about Apocalypse's function, so their action was doomed to fail before it even started. Wang Feng was also stunned when he saw their actions, but then he reacted and was overjoyed. He knew this was his chance. Now one of the 8 Devourer elites was killed by him, and 2 were holding the blade of Apocalypse behind the dead Devourer elite. 2 were in front of him, also reaching out to grab his Apocalypse, and 2 were behind him to block his retreat, and the other was behind the 2, ready to fill in at any time. Just when the Devourer elites thought they had already caught Apocalypse and were ready to see how Wang Feng would deal with it, Wang Feng suddenly let go of his palm holding Apocalypse. This move made the Devourer elites overjoyed, thinking that their plan had succeeded. Wang Feng, who had let go of Apocalypse, dodged from the side and escaped from the encirclement of these Devourer elites. At the same time, the body of the Devourer who was killed, along with Apocalypse, mysteriously disappeared. Before these Devourer elites could react, Apocalypse's cold light had already lit up again. They were shocked to find that Apocalypse appeared in Wang Feng's hands again. Moreover, this time, Wang Feng did not kill them one by one, but waved Apocalypse frantically, constantly splitting their bodies apart. In order to snatch Apocalypse, these Devourers stood very densely, and the sudden disappearance of Apocalypse just now made them stunned. Therefore, in almost one breath, Wang Feng's Apocalypse swung out 20 or 30 knives in a row, and this time, Wang Feng used the ice power that he had never used since entering the spaceship. This is a rare opportunity. All the Devourers are piled together. Wang Feng's ice ability can cover them all as long as it is released in a small range. In this way, the consumption of Wang Feng's physical strength is naturally greatly reduced. These devourers who invaded Wang Feng's planet finally suffered the biggest blow they encountered after landing here. With the help of the wind and ice abilities, it took only 10 seconds to entangle Wang Feng and prepare to seize the apocalypse. The 9 devourers were annihilated and not a single one was left. Wang Feng collected all the bodies of these devourers that were cut into pieces, and then looked at number 7. Number 7 now looked a little embarrassed. He had lost an arm. Just now, when Wang Feng was so powerful and released the ice ability to start slaughtering the devourer elites on his side, number 7 accidentally got his arm pulled by a devourer elite. Number 7 reacted very quickly, cutting off his arm directly, and then continued to escape. Cutting off an arm only meant losing some life energy for him, but if he was caught by this guy, the other 2 devourers would pounce on him at the fastest speed, and then he would lose his life. Seeing that number 7 was still alive, Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief, and then a cold smile flashed across his face. His figure was as fast as lightning, and he killed the 3 devourer elites who were chasing him. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 458. At this time, the 3 devourer elites chasing number 7 felt great fear in their hearts. Since they, the devourers, could sense the existence of their companions, they certainly knew about the death of the 9 devourers, but they had no way to do anything. They could only hope to kill number 7 before Wang Feng arrived. In this way, even if they died, the 3 devourer elites could at least fight with Wang Feng. If they were not as skilled as him, they would die. At least they would not be like the 9 guys, who could not fight back at all and could only watch the other party kill them. This feeling would definitely be uncomfortable even if they were devourers. Especially the cabin they were in now was the center of the entire spacecraft. Only the 2 commander-level devourers could open the door of the cabin. Even if the 3 of them wanted to run, they had nowhere to run, so they had to continue chasing number 7. If these 3 devourer elites could kill number 7 desperately before they died, not only would Wang Feng lose a helper, but they would also alert the devourers of the entire spaceship, because once the remaining consciousness core of the devourer commander disappeared, the devourers of the entire headquarters would be able to sense it. At that time, they would naturally know that an enemy had invaded the headquarters and killed their commander, and they would immediately activate the spaceship's defense system and block every passage. Wang Feng and number 7 would have difficulty escaping from here. The death of these 2 invaders was also a revenge for themselves. In fact, there was an emergency alarm system in this cabin, but this system could only be activated by the devourer commander. But this devourer commander, because he was eager to get the life core, died in Wang Feng's sneak attack without even a chance to see him, and he didn't even have a chance to sound the alarm. Because Wang Feng had no time to take care of number 7 just now, and there were 9 devourer elites around him, no 7's current position was a little far away from Wang Feng. Moreover, number 7 was a newly promoted elite devourer after all, so he was a little overwhelmed under the pursuit of these 3 guys. When Wang Feng was some distance away from them, number 7 was surrounded by these 3 devourer elites on the edge of the wall, and there was no way to escape. Feeling that Wang Feng was rushing towards this side, the 3 devourer elites rushed to number 7 without hesitation, ready to kill him. Number 7 looked at the 3 devourer elites in front of him and Wang Feng, who was still running towards the side behind them. He knew that he might have to die here today, because judging from the speed of sending Wang Feng, it would take at least more than 3 seconds for him to get here, and he could not hold on for that long. So number 7 took off the devourer commander's head without saying anything and threw it to Wang Feng. Wang Feng's performance just now had been recognized by number 7, so number 7 did this before he died, because he knew that as long as the commander's consciousness core in the head did not disappear, Wang Feng might be able to escape from here, but now he had no time to explain to Wang Feng. What number 7 did not expect was that when he threw out the head and prepared to close his eyes and wait for death, 3 sharp arrows suddenly whistled and shot directly at the 3 devourer elites in front of him. At the moment of being hit by the arrows, Their bodies were quickly covered by a layer of white frost, and their movements became extremely slow. Number 7 was overjoyed. He kicked the Devourer elite on his right away, and then ran out from his direction. At this time, Wang Feng had also arrived. What happened next was naturally no surprise. The 3 Devourer elites that were slowed down had no chance to resist at all, and were all killed by Wang Feng, leaving no trace. Finally, all the Devourers in this cabin were dealt with. Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief. He looked a little tired. In fact, Wang Feng's physical energy consumption was not great, especially when he killed the Devourer commander. He almost didn't consume any physical energy. On the contrary, when he killed those Devourer elites, he launched a gust of wind and used the ice field again. However, the last 3 ice arrows consumed the most physical energy. Because the situation was urgent, Wang Feng was afraid that number 7 would really die in the hands of the 3 Devourer elites, so when shooting the 3 ice arrows, Wang Feng added a lot of ice attributes to them. Otherwise, the 3 Devourer elites could not have been covered almost completely by the frost power so quickly. The energy consumed by shooting these 3 ice arrows was not less than Wang Feng's total consumption before, so Wang Feng's idea of saving physical strength to break through was basically shattered. Now he can only rely on the instant recovery of Tiankai. At this time, number 7 walked towards Wang Feng holding the head of the Devourer commander, looked at his face, shook his head and said, "It seems that you have consumed a lot of physical strength. I'm afraid that when you break through..." "Nonsense. If I had saved physical strength just now, you would have been eaten by your kind now, so how could you have the opportunity to say something sarcastic here?" Wang Feng said unhappily. "Hurry up and absorb this broken thing you are holding and prepare to escape. Let me make it clear that when you escape later, I may not be able to take care of you. Actually, you didn't have to spend so much energy to save me just now." Number 7 hesitated for a moment, and finally asked, "The commander-in-chief has been killed by you, and my mission is basically over. You could just ignore me and keep your own strength. Wouldn't you have a greater chance of escaping? I remember when you came here before, you said that you would not risk your life to save me. This sentence it seems a bit inconsistent with your performance just now, right? First, you don't know all my trump cards. Second, the assassination of the commander-in-chief is the result of our cooperation. So, in a sense, we are still allies. After all, we have to escape safely. After this assassination operation it's a happy ending. After we separate, I won't care if you encounter any dangers." Wang Feng looked at number 7 and said seriously, "But while you are my ally, as long as I have the ability, I will try my best to ensure your safety. This is my promise, a soldier's promise." "Soldier," number 7 repeated, "are they also a type of human being? It sounds like this kind of person is very reliable, right? Based on what you said, I will never eat a soldier in the future. Get out. You can't eat people anymore." Wang Feng was furious. "Didn't you say that if someone provokes me, I can fight back? You can't waste it, right? Besides, my most powerful attack is devouring," number 7 said a little aggrievedly. Okay. I won't talk to you anymore. You quickly devour this ghost thing. I also need to seize the time to recover. Especially this time, it seems that I really have to confess here." Wang Feng waved his hand. "Prepare to continue arguing with number 7. How long will it take for you to recover?" Number 7 did not devour the head, but looked at Wang Feng and asked. "About 2 hours, what's wrong?" Wang Feng seemed to feel something, his eyes lit up and he answered. 2 hours? So fast? Then we have enough time." Number 7 smiled and then raised the head of the Devourer commander and said, "We have 2 choices now. I have 2 ways to escape. One is that I don't devour this ghost thing as you call it, but hide it in my body, and then the 2 of us try to escape. Because the core of the commander's consciousness has not completely dissipated, his brood mark still exists. In other words, the other devourers in the headquarters don't know that this commander is actually almost dead. In addition, now that it's nighttime, we should have a good chance of getting out without alerting them. This choice is a bit dangerous, because there may be a certain chance of being discovered. If there is a devourer, and he has been given a mandatory order by the commander before, then he can sense the commander's brood mark and be seen by such a devourer. If it comes, it will be exposed directly. Because none of us are commanders, but we have the mark of the commander's brood. That's not right. After hearing No. 7's words, Wang Feng asked a little strangely, "Can't you become the commander-in-chief? Anyway, you devourers can change your appearance at will, so this shouldn't be a problem." Of course not. No. 7 shook his head directly. "There is no problem for me to look like a commander, but it is more like using it to deceive humans. There is a special identification method among us devourers, which is through the core of consciousness. To recognize me, that is to say, no matter what appearance I take, those who know me will still be able to recognize me. It's just like you humans, no matter what clothes you change, your face will never change." Although the metaphor is a bit inappropriate, the meaning is basically like this. Only then did Wang Feng remember that the most important thing about Devourer was indeed the life core. It seemed that his method was not going to work, so he looked at No. 7 and asked, "Then, talk about the second one." "The second one will be much safer, and maybe I can improve the first method," No. 7 said. "Put the first one aside for now, and you can talk about the second one." Wang Feng was a little anxious. They are now at the Devourer's headquarters, the core of the spaceship. Is this a place for casual chat? Actually, the second method is somewhat related to the first one. No. 7 looked at Wang Feng and laughed. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 459. No. 7 looked at Wang Feng's confused look and said quickly, "The second method is that we stay here for 2 hours. Didn't you say that you need 2 hours to recover? Now it's at least 4 or 5 hours before dawn. It's okay for us to wait here for 2 hours. No one can open this door except the commander, so we are safe here for the time being, unless we are unlucky and the other commander comes back within these 2 hours, but this is basically impossible. We will wait for you to fully recover to your peak, and then use the first method to leave. In this way, even if we are discovered, it will be more secure than leaving now, right?" After hearing what No. 7 said, Wang Feng jumped up directly. "You call this 2 methods? This is just one method, right? I choose the second one." Since he knew that there was no devourer who could detect what was happening in this cabin, Wang Feng was of course not in a hurry to go out. Although he could now use Apocalypse to immediately recover his physical strength, it is always good to have an extra trump card. No. 7. "Since there is such a way to get out, why didn't you tell me at that time?" Wang Feng suddenly remembered that when they were planning this plan, it seemed that No. 7 did not say not to absorb all of the consciousness core of the Devourer commander. As long as a little was left, other Devourers would not find out about this matter, and he couldn't help but ask in confusion. "How did I know you had this ability? You can't completely destroy this consciousness core? The Devourers you killed before were killed directly," No. 7 said a little aggrievedly. "If I had known you had this ability earlier, I wouldn't have been scared to death at the beginning, thinking that I would definitely be left here. Now it seems that I have a great chance to escape." Wang Feng was a little embarrassed. He did not explain to No. 7 in detail how he killed the Devourer. After all, No. 7 was also a Devourer, and it was better to be a little reserved in front of him. "Okay. You quickly recover your strength, I'll go study the commander's nest mark." No. 7 saw Wang Feng's embarrassment, so he didn't ask Tiankai about the principle of killing the devourer in detail. He just said something casually and walked away with the devourer commander's head. Seeing number 7 leave, Wang Feng also sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to recover his strength. After more than 2 hours, Wang Feng opened his eyes again and stood up. At this time, he had completely recovered his strength and returned to his peak state. Seeing Wang Feng stand up, number 7 hurried over, looked at Wang Feng with a happy face and said, "I have a new discovery. Now I think we can not only leave here safely, but also cause them some trouble." "What discovery?" Wang Feng subconsciously looked at the head that number 7 held in his arms as a treasure. "I just carefully read the information on the commander's nest mark, and found something. This cabin." Number 7 looked at Wang Feng and said. "Wait a minute," Wang Feng waved his hand to interrupt No 7's words. "You read the information on the mother nest mark? Won't the mother nest know about this?" "Of course," number 7 nodded, "this kind of thing can never be hidden from the mother nest." "Damn. Then you dare to do this?" Wang Feng was a little surprised. "I have already eliminated my mother nest mark. When he comes here, he will not let me go no matter what, so why should I be afraid of him?" Number 7 said confidently. "Don't you humans have a saying? One person is also slaughtered, 2 people are also killed. That means 1 sheep is also driven, 2 sheep are also released," Wang Feng said depressedly. "Whether it is a sheep or a human, it means this anyway. If you can't kill the mother nest, I will definitely be recycled, and my situation will be quite miserable. So, when the mother nest arrives, if you can't kill him, then please kill me, at least I can feel better that way." Number 7 looked at Wang Feng and said. "Okay. Let's see how you perform. If you perform well, I can consider killing you." Wang Feng waved his hand casually and said, "Tell me about your discovery first." Number 7 didn't think there was anything wrong with Wang Feng's answer, so he continued, "I only knew the location of this cabin before, but I had never entered it, because I didn't have the qualifications before. But after reading the mother nest information, I found that this cabin was not that simple." At this point, number 7 waved his hand at Wang Feng and said, "Come here." Then, number 7 took Wang Feng to the chair where the Devourer commander had sat before. Seeing this chair, Wang Feng couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Why did he forget about this chair? When he was recovering his strength just now, he was still sitting on the ground. He was really stupid. Number 7 didn't think so much. He came directly to the side of the chair, and then pressed the Devourer commander's head in his hand on a red bulge on the armrest of the chair, which should be a switch or button. Following his movements, the floor in front of the chair suddenly cracked. Then, a round sphere with a diameter of more than 2 meters floated up and slowly rotated in front of them. Wang Feng couldn't help being surprised when he saw the sphere. Because he saw the pattern on the ball and immediately recognized that the ball was the planet they were on. Is this a humming map of our planet?" Wang Feng yelled a little depressed. He originally thought that the Devourers should be a barbaric and cruel race. Their job was to destroy planets one after another and create disasters. But when he saw this ball, he discovered that it seemed to be the Devourers. Technology, compared to their planet, is countless years more advanced. Yes. However, this thing is not owned by our race. At least I have never seen this thing. Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief at No 7's words. Fortunately, this thing was not made by Devourer. But there was a moment of sadness. It seemed that this must be something left over from a highly civilized planet that was destroyed by the Devourer. But Wang Feng was immediately stunned, right? If it was destroyed by other planet cup devourers with high-tech civilization, how could the loot they got be exactly the same as their own planet? Thinking of this, Wang Feng observed it carefully again, but no matter how he looked at it, what was painted on this sphere was the planet he was on. Wang Feng even found the country he once fought for on this sphere, as well as the Black Dragon City he is still fighting for now. Number 7. Did you devourer steal this thing? Wang Feng pointed at the ball and asked after looking at it for a while. No. It can't be snatched by us. We devourers are not interested in inanimate things. Number 7 shook his head and said. Actually, our original mission was to pursue a race whose planet we destroyed. They fled in this direction. We have been chasing them for many years. I was originally surprised that those Kali deserters were still there. Ahead, why did the commander suddenly order to land on your planet when he was passing by it? It wasn't until I read the information on the brood mark just now when you were recovering your strength that I realized that we, the Devourers, actually have our own mission. Our mission is to find this planet and destroy it at all costs, and we must destroy it completely. Complete destruction, Wang Feng frowned. How complete? At least we must ensure that no living thing can appear on this planet in the future. Number 7 said with a solemn expression. Also, although this thing was not made by our mother nest, it seems that there are many mother nests of this thing. I now know that every Devourer spacecraft has a model of such a planet. The purpose of the brood is to let all the captains of the Devourer spacecraft know that the most important thing for us Devourers is to find this planet and then destroy it. As for the reason and the origin of these balls, the brood has not left any information, so I don't know much about it. I can only confirm that it was definitely not made by the brood. After listening to No 7's words, Wang Feng's face became quite solemn. What kind of creature could actually command the Devourer? Moreover, this creature that could command such a terrifying race as the Devourer actually wanted it so much. Find your own planet and destroy it? Reminiscent of what the Apostle John said when he became the Apocalypse weapon spirit, human beings' abilities seem to be sealed by an unknown mysterious force, so human beings cannot fully exert their own strength, whether it is mental or physical strength, they are all affected. Great limitations. If what he said is true, what is the connection between the two? Are they the same creature? Apart from zombies, mutated creatures, and devourers, what are the enemies of mankind? Wang Feng sighed slowly, was silent for a moment, and suddenly laughed softly, as if he thought of something happy. Number 7 on the side looked dumbfounded. He didn't understand that without talking about the future troubles of this planet, just Wang Feng and he are both in the crisis-ridden Devourer headquarters now. How could this guy be so happy all of a sudden? Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 460. Looking at Wang Feng, Number 7 finally asked blankly, "Are you okay?" "Of course I'm fine." Wang Feng was still smiling happily. "Do you think I was frightened and went insane after hearing that I had more powerful enemies? Let me tell you, a wonderful life there must be enemies. Because the so-called enemy is actually a kind of creature that will force you to become stronger. The stronger the enemy, the higher your achievements will be. Because, if you can't defeat your enemy, then you can only wait to die." Humans' ideas are really strange, but they seem to make sense. Number 7 nodded. Number 7. Can this thing be taken away? Wang Feng looked at the three-dimensional map in front of him and said, "I mean, if you put this into my space, it won't trigger any alarms, right?" With Number 7 after such a long time, Number 7 has already known a lot of Wang Feng's secrets, and naturally also knows about the existence of Apocalypse space. Of course, we can do whatever we do here without any problem. No Devourer will be able to find it, and even if they find it, they won't be able to get in. Number 7 nodded. Without saying a word, Wang Feng directly put his hand on the ball in front of him and took it into the Apocalypse space. Then he suddenly felt something was wrong. "Number 7, didn't you say that this spaceship is a living thing? Couldn't this spaceship not be a living thing? Discover what's happening in your body." It's true that it is a living thing, but the spaceship created by the brood does not endow it with excessive intelligence. To say that it is a living thing is just to say that its entire body is composed of life energy, just like my body. Basically the same, Number 7 replied. I'll go. Wang Feng couldn't help but secretly smacked his tongue. Such a huge spaceship is made entirely of life energy. How much life energy does this require? No wonder, the Devourers need to constantly loot planet after planet, and it seems that it is not without reason. However, Wang Feng now has some doubts in his heart about whether the Devourer was born naturally or was created artificially. This map is over, let's move on to the next one. Seeing Wang Feng put away the three-dimensional map, number 7 smiled again. What else? Wang Feng was delighted. Compared with the map, this is what you like more, and it can also cause a lot of trouble to the Devourer. Number 7 seems to have more contact with humans, and his smile actually looks very sinister, but Wang Feng, I actually think No 7's smile is very cute. It's the one I just talked about. Number 7 pointed at his feet and smiled even more cheerfully. Do you remember what this guy is made of? Life energy. Wang Feng's eyes lit up. How much life energy would such a huge spaceship contain? If he could get them all, I'm afraid Wang Feng would have enough awakening potions to turn all the people in the Hope Base into awakened ones. It's life energy. I used to be at a low level and didn't know much about this spaceship. But after reading the Commander's brood mark, my understanding of the inside of the Devourer is now no less than that of a Commander-level Devourer. Number 7 said excitedly. Under this chair is the core of this spaceship, which is where the core of consciousness of this spaceship creature is located. Now it mainly depends on you. If you can break open this place, let me swallow the core of consciousness of this spaceship. Then I can get control of this spaceship. Although I can't control it to take off, everything inside the spacecraft will be under my control. The Devourer inside will not be able to freely enter and exit the spacecraft without my permission. In this case, we leave the certainty is greater. At least, we only need to face the Devourers outside. For those inside the spaceship, I will restrict them to certain fixed areas. There is no way for them to get out. Number 7. Can't they break the door by force? Since the entire ship is condensed with life energy, it shouldn't take much effort for you Devourers to swallow such a door, right? Wang Feng seemed to feel that No 7's statement was somewhat unreliable. The Devourer would not dare to devour the hull of this spaceship. Number 7 shook his head. In terms of rank, this spaceship's status even surpasses that of the Commander and the guards, and is second only to the Prince. Anyone with the brood mark, even the Devourers, will not destroy the hull of this spaceship. It's just that when the brood built the spaceship, it didn't give it any subjective consciousness, making it closer to a creature similar to artificial intelligence among you humans. That's why it was not included in the hierarchy of the Devourers. But what I am sure of is that even the Commander, if he does not have the authority, can only stay there obediently after being trapped in this spaceship, and does not dare to force the door. After hearing No 7's words, Wang Feng couldn't help but lowered his head and thought for a moment. If this was the case, then he might achieve more results this time. Of course, it would be impossible to kill the other Commander as well. Number 7 also having said that, if the Commander does not have the authority, he can be trapped, but as one of the two highest commanders of the Devourer army, it is impossible for him to not have this authority. Wang Feng did not intend to use the spaceship to catch all the Devourers that came this time, but at least there should be no problem in rescuing the humans trapped in this spaceship. Didn't Number 7 say that in order to prevent humans from escaping, all the humans they captured were locked up in this spaceship? If this spaceship can really be controlled, then there will be no problem in rescuing people. Thinking of this, a plan quietly emerged in Wang Feng's mind. Number 7. Let's try first to see if you can really control this spaceship as you said. If you can, I have a better plan, Wang Feng said solemnly. Tell me first, how to start. It's very simple. First, get rid of this chair, and then dig directly. Don't worry, the consciousness core of this spaceship is sleeping at this time, and only the mother nest can wake it up. Number 7 pointed to the chair and said. Wang Feng summoned Apocalypse and slashed at the base of the chair. Since number 7 said that he would not alarm the consciousness core of the spaceship, he had no scruples. If this spaceship was made of some metal, it might be difficult for Wang Feng to cut it, but since it was condensed by life energy, no matter how strong it would definitely not be able to stop the blade of Apocalypse. He chopped down the chair in 2 or 3 strokes, and then put it into his own Apocalypse space. These were all Apocalypse points, and not a single one could be wasted. Then, Wang Feng began to use Apocalypse and began to dig a hole in the ground under the chair, collecting while digging. Unexpectedly, the hull of this spaceship was quite thick. After Wang Feng dug more than 1 person deep, number 7 shouted, "Stop!" Then, number 7 also jumped into the pit dug by Wang Feng, pressed the bottom of the pit with his hand, and after feeling it, he began to dig down. Seeing number 7 starting to do it himself, Wang Feng didn't care, and jumped out of the pit directly, leaving the space to number 7, wandering around the room casually, and took out Apocalypse and stabbed the wall to see if Apocalypse could destroy the wall. Wang Feng had this idea before, but he didn't put it into action because he was afraid of disturbing the spaceship. Now that he knew that the spaceship would not be awakened, he naturally no longer had this concern. Moreover, he had just dug such a deep hole in the body of the spaceship, and now stabbing it with 2 knives was simply a drizzle. After confirming that his Apocalypse could easily destroy the wall of the spaceship, Wang Feng put away the Apocalypse and sat on the ground bored. He didn't know how long the swallowing of number 7 would last. Anyway, he had changed his plan now, so he didn't care about the daybreak. Apocalypse. How many Apocalypse points would you get if you absorbed all of such a large spaceship? Wang Feng simply chatted with Apocalypse. I don't know, Tiankai answered honestly, although this spaceship looks big, because of its different functions, the life energy of its hull is not so pure, so it is definitely not as much as you think. For example, if the body of the Devourer is made of fine steel, then this spaceship can at most be considered to be made of cast iron, but fortunately its volume is large enough, so it must be quite a lot. Moreover, the most important thing about this spaceship is that it contains the law of space. If you can really absorb it all, your Tiankai space will also become larger. I think this is the biggest benefit to you personally. Wang Feng thought about it and felt that what Tiankai said was not wrong. However, whether he could absorb the spaceship was still uncertain at least now, and it would take a lot of time to completely absorb such a big guy. Now is not the time to consider this. At least we have to wait until the guy number 7 controls the entire spaceship. People are really becoming more and more dissatisfied. Originally, Wang Feng came here with the plan to assassinate the commander. If he could escape with number 7 after the successful assassination, that would be the biggest success. But now, Wang Feng's ideal has become to annihilate all the Devourers here and take over this spaceship. If such a plan had been put forward before coming here to assassinate, I am afraid Wang Feng would not even dare to think about it.